So I'm really glad that this platform lets me swear freely, but if you're sensitive to that kind of content, this particular podcast might not be the best one for you. So that's just a fair warning. So I wanted to share two personal struggles that I had when I was trying to become an author and then do the social media thing and now doing the Patreon thing or the Substack thing or the podcast thing, whatever I'm creating. And so the first is that I spent a long time trying to write a book and not being confident in myself that I could write it, and not believing that anybody would read it, not believing that anybody would care. And that terrified me, right? It terrified me. And the second thing is that when I did finally write a book and then I had to promote it, I told myself, oh, I'm never going to get on camera. I'm never going to talk to people. And the reason is not the way that I look. I have very little care about that, but it's actually my voice. I've always been very, very sensitive about my voice. I don't have a great voice, for this kind of thing, I don't think. I actually, one time when I answered the phone, the person mistook me for my grandmother. And that's a pretty big blow to the ego when you get confused for your grandmother as a man. And so I've just always really had this hang up about my voice. And so how did I overcome these two things? Like, how did I end up writing a book, and how am I doing this podcasting now? And it really came down to eventually reaching a point where I just said, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck what I do? And it was really that thought that really drove me forward. And once I embraced that, the first time with releasing the book, and then the second time when I was like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there and people are going to hear my voice, that as I did that, it became more and more natural to kind of use that same mentality to breaking down other barriers. And what I realized is that this kind of fuck it mentality is the key to any kind of mental barrier that you have. And, it's really, really frustrating. It can be really, really frustrating when you want to do something, but you are kind of held back by yourself. And a lot of times there's not a good reason that you can see why this is happening. And the only way to really break through it is to realize that it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I had made my book and no one had read it, right? It doesn't matter if I had made my book and everybody hated it. It doesn't matter if everybody got on and said, your voice is the most annoying thing that I've ever heard. None of that matters, because all that matters is that you are taking that creative leap. And then what you realize is that people aren't going to do that, right? They're not going to do that. But it's built up in your mind that this is how things are going to be. And so what I want to do over the next couple episodes is to talk about how do you get to this point? Because it sounds easy to say, oh, I'm just going to say F it and do it. But it's actually really hard to get to that point. It took me 12 years, right, to get to that point. And so it's not easy. So I just wanted to take some time to lay out some strategies that we can use to help us get to a moment where we can confidently say, fuck it, and do the thing.